Hey everyone, welcome to another election prediction type of video. I want to start this video by saying I apologize that in this video we aren't using the traditional election night format that I normally have for my videos, the election night graphics and all of that. Those videos take an extra little bit to make, so in the meantime I'm going to be doing some predictions just with a simple map and just classifying safe states and states that I believe would be competitive in a race. I want to also say in this video that I do not expect this matchup to happen. This is between former Representative Tulsi Gabbard and former Ambassador to the United Nations under the Trump administration, Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley was also governor of South Carolina before becoming the ambassador to the United Nations. Like I said before, though, I do not expect this race to happen. I just simply doing this for the simple matter of the fact. But I do think that we should look and see how well the Democrats could perform and in an environment with Tulsi Gabbard in more of a red-styled year as expected at this point for the Democrats to be in going into 2022 and 2024. But I'm going to go ahead and start by classifying some safe states for Tulsi Gabbard. These aren't really shocking to anyone. These states aren't. They are normal, safe states for Democrats, and they will be the same way in this type of environment. But, we also have to keep in mind that this race is one that we're just, predicting. We don't know what would happen in a race like this, but we can predict on what it would be like, and that's exactly what we're doing in today's video. And I'm just going to finish off by classifying some safe Republican states. This is the main map that we would be looking at. I'm sorry, I need to classify Nebraska real fast. But this is a main map that I believe we could see in the 2024 presidential race with Tulsi Gabbard versus Nikki Haley. Tulsi Gabbard is a very good Democratic candidate. She's able to appeal to Democrats, maybe not the left-lean progressive side that she needs to as well, but she is able to persuade moderate Republican voters to come over to her side. And this is a matchup where Nikki Haley is a fairly moderate Republican who still stands by Trump, but also is a fairly moderate type of person and still will perform that way. She would still be able to get that Trump base, I believe, but we're just going to continue on with this matchup. I'm going to start with the state of Ohio, a traditionally red state in previous elections. We're going to have to see how this 2022 midterm election goes with Tim Ryan facing off with J.D. Vance, but at this point, as expected, I would classify this as a win for Nikki Haley. As you can see, by giving Nikki Haley this state, Nikki Haley needs to pick up a lot more of these, states that we see on the map than Tulsi Gabbard does. Tulsi Gabbard needs to pick up around 50. This race is a traditionally uphill battle for Nikki Haley to begin with, but obviously we've seen Trump do it before, and also Texas has not been characterized yet either. That's on purpose because Texas has been more lenient in previous elections. The 2022 gubernatorial election in Texas is going to be interesting between Greg Abbott and Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke in recent polls, as of the date that I'm filming this, is traditionally doing better than originally expected in this type of Republican environment. But given the state that Texas is in, I am going to classify this as a win for Nikki Haley as well. Next, I will go ahead and go to New Hampshire, a state that in recent years has gone Democrat, but does have a Republican governor, Chris Sununu, who was pressured to run for Senate in 2022, but declined the offer and ultimately decided to run for re-election as governor of New Hampshire. He is a fairly popular governor in New Hampshire, and a lot of people like him. But in recent presidential years, this state has gone blue, and that is exactly what I would expect to happen in an environment like this with Tulsi Gabbard running on the Democratic side. Let's next go to Nevada, which is a state that we could see as one that could be a win for Republicans, but ultimately, is that a big chance? Maybe, maybe not. Ultimately, in my prediction on this, I would believe that this race would be a win for Tulsi Gabbard in the state of Nevada. 6 electoral votes going to Tulsi Gabbard puts her at the same amount of electoral votes that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton had in both 2020 and 2016 when they lost the presidential election, meaning that all other states would go to Nikki Haley in this case if that was the same type of thing. Obviously, not exactly sure that would happen, but did want to point that out. The next state that I'm going to go to is Arizona, a state that has been interesting in previous elections and ultimately was viewed for a while as a pretty safe Republican state until about 2018 and 2020 when ultimately 2 senators, Democratic senators, represent the state of Arizona from the United States Senate. At this point, Mark Kelly is up for re-election in 2022 and is doing traditionally well in those polls. But ultimately, the state of Arizona is one in which would be interesting. Why is that? Is because Tulsi Gabbard, who is not a progressive candidate at all, is definitely more of your moderate Democrat, even more moderate than Joe Biden in many cases, is seen as someone who probably couldn't even win the nomination in a realistic society, but ultimately in this prediction, I'm going to conclude that I would believe that the state of Arizona would probably go to Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is a fairly popular person on the Republican side as well, overall. Now, Democrats, like I said before, aren't the hugest fan of Tulsi Gabbard, but ultimately, if that was the pick, I'm sure many Democrats would still vote for her over Nikki Haley. The next state we're going to look at is Wisconsin, one in which is another very interesting state. Barack Obama had won the state in both 2008 and 2012. Trump flipped it in 2016, and Joe Biden flipped it back to the Democratic side in 2020. This race, though, would be interesting. Wisconsin is one in which I believe many Republicans could flip this state. But ultimately, in a society like this, I do believe that Nikki Haley would win this race. In the state of Wisconsin, I believe 10 electoral votes would go to Nikki Haley. And ultimately, a lot of people are going to say, well, Tulsi Gabbard is a very popular person, and she is. But I still do not believe that she would be popular enough to win enough of the Democratic base in Wisconsin to get the state. So ultimately, right now, Tulsi Gabbard is at 243 electoral votes, Nikki Haley at 199. And obviously, this is just a prediction, and the environment that we're in actually is more lenient to the right than it is to the left. The right has way more of a chance of winning in 2024 than the left does. But with certain candidates, I do believe that the left could still get this race and win the White House yet again in 2024. But it would be an uphill battle. The next state we're going to characterize is Michigan, one in which has 15 electoral votes and trends blue. Tulsi Gabbard, I believe, easily could win the state of Michigan and its 15 electoral votes. This puts her at 258 electoral votes to the presidency, just needing 12 to be elected the 47th president of the United States at this point. Nikki Haley would need many of the states remaining. Actually would need all of the states remaining to win this election. Next, I'm going to characterize Florida, one in which has traditionally gone red in previous elections, both in 2016 and 2020. However, did go blue back in 2008 and 2012. And this race is really one that people keep an eye on because it's a major win if the Democrats win it. However, in a society that we would be in, I believe Nikki Haley would be able to win the state of Florida, putting her at 229 electoral votes. The next state I'm going to characterize is the state of North Carolina. 16 electoral votes. I believe that Nikki Haley would be able to win this state. She does well with with the Southern voters, and I believe ultimately she would continue that trend of doing well with them in the state of North Carolina. Now we're going to go to the state of Georgia. Georgia's 16 electoral votes, I believe, are going to be one of the most characterized electoral votes in this race. I believe it really would matter in this race who won the state of Georgia. Tulsi Gabbard could win it. She would be on the same path as Biden to win Georgia. The only state that she wouldn't have won at that point would be Wisconsin, and Michigan has yet to be characterized. But Georgia is one that I believe that Nikki Haley would focus a lot of money on, and I believe ultimately she would win the state. The state of Pennsylvania is one in which Joe Biden was able to win in 2020 back from President Trump from 2016. And I believe with the political environment that we're in and Tulsi Gabbard as a candidate, she would be able to win the state of Pennsylvania, beating former Governor Nikki Haley in the race to the White House. Tulsi Gabbard at 277 electoral votes to Nikki Haley's 261. This is one of the closest races that I've predicted, but I do believe that it would be a possibility for these two candidates if this was to happen for whatever reason in a political environment. I believe Tulsi Gabbard would probably win in the current state that we're in. Roe versus Wade has just been overturned just last month, and the Republicans are traditionally doing well. We're in an environment where the Democrats have something positive on their side, but the Republicans also do as well. And ultimately, I believe Tulsi Gabbard would be able to win this race with 277 electoral votes. Again, I will state before I end this video that I do not expect this race to happen whatsoever. Quite honestly, I would be shocked if I saw a race like this. I do not believe that the Democrats would pick Tulsi Gabbard as a candidate for them. She has went on live television bashing Joe Biden and others, including Barack Obama. And I believe the Democrats just would not pick her as a candidate. But if they did, then I believe this would be the society that we would be in, and Tulsi Gabbard would be elected the first female president of the United States. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Like always, please like, subscribe, share this video with any of your political friends or non-political friends as well. Also, make sure to go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok that has just recently been made. I also want to let you all know that we are looking for people to be added on to the team here at American Elections. We need a lot of extra help in areas as we continue to grow the YouTube channel, and if you're interested in that, always feel free to DM us on Instagram. Again, all of those will be linked in the description down below. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.